Hey everyone, this is Greg with Spotted Tongue Woodworking, and today we're going to build a wine cabinet. So with building any cabinets, first thing you do is break down your sheet goods. This is a red oak cabinet, so I bought a 4x8 sheet of red oak plywood, break it down into its pieces, and I assemble my cabinets. I use dados in all the sides to hold everything together. Here I'm dry fitting a mock-up I had made of the wine rack insert. I had previously made it out of plywood scraps just to make sure that I had my measurements right and to make sure that my idea would work. All the time, 99% of the time, I build my cabinets out of 3/4 inch plywood with a 1/4 inch panel in the back. Like I had previously said, I use dados to fit everything together. So to create a less than 1/4 inch dado, I just take 2 passes with a standard curve table saw blade. I want to pre-finish all my pieces before putting them together. So I'm just going to sand everything. Even though plywood comes fairly smooth, you still want to sand it because there are little imperfections that sanding will take out of it. So here, dry fit all the pieces together. You can see everything fits right into place. It basically holds itself together with just a little bit of, with very little help. So after it's all together, put a little bit of glue, maybe some nails, and it'll be all right. The face frame and the wine rack inserts are going to be made out of solid red oak. So I got some red oak from one of my local lumber guys. Beautiful, clear red oak pieces. Generally, there are some woods that I really enjoy working with, and there are some woods that I don't enjoy working with. Red oak, don't necessarily enjoy working with it, basically because I'm somewhat allergic to it. I know I learned the hard way that I'm very allergic to pin oak when I was trimming the pin oak in our front yard earlier this spring. And I know that red oak sawdust, if enough of it gets in my face and in my eyes, I'm going to be miserable for the rest of the day. So definitely making sure that my dust collection setups are working, my fans going, vacuums going, getting everything cleaned up as much as I can. These wine rack inserts, again, are solid red oak pieces. Just cutting a series of dados in them to fit them together. I got my spacing down with the plywood mock-up I had made. Here, cutting them, I use blue tape to help prevent tear out across the blades. I found my 3/4 inch setup on the dado was a little bit tight. I actually read a very interesting article about instead of shimming dados to match the size of your workpiece, but instead having very specifically planing your workpiece down to fit the dado stack. So instead of adding a 16th or 32nd shim just to get that right fit, you start with a workpiece that is actually the right size for what you have. I didn't do that. I used the provided metal shims with the stack just to get everything nice. You can see very clean fit. Everything just kind of clicked together. I was really happy with how these pieces went together, just like a giant puzzle. With the wine rack, there was a little bit of figuring. I couldn't figure out how to draw it in SketchUp, so that's why I had made a mock-up. I found that I needed X amount of pieces so long, and as long as I put them together in the right orientation, I can pull it out to whatever length I needed to have it. So once I have the rough shape, the little bit of overhang, I draw out my measurements, figure out exactly where I want to cut each side, and basically make a square or a rectangle, not a square, out of these pieces. When my mock-up, with my rough estimations, I knew I could get somewhere between 8 and 10 full bottles, full diamonds in the cabinet size. With the mock-up, the way I cut it, I had 8 full bottles, but I could see if I could just scooch it one way or another, we could get that number up to 9. So that's a pretty good size. The diamond pattern, it looks a little bit nicer than having just the straight squares across the whole front. This is really where the track saw shined. I was able to cut straight lines on this weird shape. Because this is going into an existing kitchen, I tried making some samples with off-the-shelf stains, and nothing quite matched up quite right. So we ended up going to Sherwin-Williams, getting a quart of custom stain mixed up to at least get as close as we can. It's hard to match, 30 years of sunlight exposure and use and abuse, but we ended up getting pretty close with this one. Because this was only one signal cabinet, I opted to use a can of spray lacquer rather than breaking out my compressor and spray gun and having to clean the gun after each coat. This I can just spray it, set it down, and come back and spray after the coat of lacquer had dried. Now that each piece has been completely pre-finished, stained, and clear-coated, the cabinet is ready for assembly. As you can see, like I said before, each piece fits into rabbets and dados to hold everything in place. These wine rack lattices have been cut to size and height and width and length to fit directly inside the cabinet opening. And the face frame is actually going to be pocket screwed from pocket holes along the top and along the bottom, and a pocket screw on each side inside the cabinet that will actually be hidden by the lattice when I pull it forward after the cabinet is assembled. So there you have it, a above the fridge red oak wine cabinet. Utilizes a space that not many people can effectively use. I'm a big fan of using as much space in a kitchen as you can. This is a great use of space. Let me know, are you team wine rack or are you team cabinet for above the fridge? Or are you team nothing at all above the fridge? There are those people as well. Regardless of which team you're on, if this provided any value to you, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and spread the word. Have a great day.